Welcome back. Today, we're zooming in on Malta.
Right.
That tiny island nation in the Med that's, well, it's become a real hotspot for Americans looking to relocate.
It really has.
You can see the appeal, right? Sunshine, super safe. I think it was ranked 12th safest globally last year.
That's right. And critically, English is an official language. That makes things much easier for U.S. citizens settling in.
Yeah, a huge advantage.
And it's not just a trickle, the scale is pretty impressive. In 2023, Malta actually ranked 3rd globally for the largest share of foreign population.
Wow. 3rd.
Yeah. So our mission today is, to cut through the noise and really pull out those key financial, tax, and residency details specifically for you if you're a U.S. citizen, especially if you're earning in dollars.
Okay, perfect. Let's dive right in then.
Yeah.
Why Malta specifically for Americans? Let's start with taxes. That always gets attention.
Always.
Malta has a tax treaty with the U.S., which is good, avoids double taxation.
Foundational, yeah. But that's just the start.
But here's where it gets really interesting from what I saw. Malta has 0 inheritance tax, 0 wealth tax, 0 estate tax.
Exactly. 0. Think about that compared to the U.S. If you're planning for a generational wealth transfer, the U.S. estate tax can hit 40%.
40% versus 0. That's staggering.
It is. And on top of that, Malta has these preferential tax schemes for non-domiciled residents.
Okay, tell us about those. We saw something about a 15% flat rate.
That's the main one, the Global Residence Program, or GRP. If you qualify, you get a flat tax rate of just 15% on foreign income you bring into Malta.
15%.
There is a minimum annual tax payment, though, 15,000 euros. But here's another key point. Foreign capital gains. Totally exempt from Maltese tax, even if you remit the money to Malta.
Whoa, okay. Exempt even if remitted. That's unusual.
It's very attractive.
So that 15% GRP, who's it really for? Is it just like for the super wealth?
Well, it's definitely good for high net worth folks, but the main requirement is that non-domiciled status. Basically, if you don't plan to make Malta your permanent home forever and ever, you could potentially benefit.
Okay, non-domiciled. Got it.
But saving on taxes is great, but it doesn't mean much if the cost of just living there eats it all up.
Exactly. Let's talk about that cost of living. Our sources say it's about, nearly 30% lower than the U.S. overall, including rent.
Yeah, roughly 29.6% lower.
And the example given was a family of 4 spending around maybe $3,000 a month in Malta for essentials.
Compared to at least 4,000, probably more back in the States. And housing is a big part of that.
Right. The rental comparison was pretty stark too.
Yeah, a 3-bedroom in a city center, maybe $1,700 in Malta. In a comparable U.S. city, you're easily looking at $3,000, maybe more.
Big difference. Okay, so say you're convinced financially. How do you actually, get to stay there? What are the paths for non-EU citizens like Americans?
There are basically 2 main routes.
Okay.
First is the investment route. That's the Malta Permanent Residence Program, the MPRP. Think of this as the residency for life option.
Permanent. Okay, what does that involve?
It requires proving you have assets of at least 500,000 euros. And then there's an investment and fee component, which starts around 169,000 euros if you decide to rent property instead of buying.
So a significant investment, but it leads to permanent residency.
Exactly. And the process is relatively quick, usually 6 to 8 months.
Okay, path 1, investment. What's path 2? You mentioned it's more for like remote workers.
Right. That's the Malta Nomad Residence Permit. This is specifically for freelancers, remote employees, people earning their income outside of Malta.
Ah, okay. Income source is key there.
Crucial. You need to show a monthly income of at least 3,500 euros, again, sourced externally.
And this one's temporary, you said.
Correct. It's temporary, typically granted for a year, renewable up to a maximum of 4 years total. And importantly, this Nomad permit does not lead to permanent residency down the line.
Good distinction. Temporary versus permanent. So once you have one of these residencies, what about the lifestyle, the bigger picture?
Well, a huge benefit is EU access. Maltese residency gives you the right to work, start businesses across the EU, plus travel is incredibly easy.
Right. You're right there in the Mediterranean.
Exactly. Rome is an hour-and-a-half flight? Sometimes you can find flights for 50 euros.
Wow. Okay. And day-to-day life, work-life balance, healthcare.
Work-life balance seems pretty good. Employees get at least 25 days of annual leave, plus 14 public holidays.
That's generous.
And Malta has a universal public healthcare system. It's available at little to no cost for residents. Even if you go private, it's way cheaper than the U.S.
That was cheaper.
Our sources say 70 to 80% cheaper. Like a doctor's visit might cost you 20 to 40 euros.
20 euros for a doctor visit.
And you've got choices in where to live too. You could be in historic Valletta, which is super walkable, or maybe lively Slima or St. Julian's with lots of expats, or even head over to Gozo for a much slower, quieter pace.
Right, something for everyone, it seems.
Yeah, lots of variety.
Okay, so to sum it up, we've got major tax advantages, especially that zero inheritance tax, a significantly lower cost of living, especially if you keep earning dollars, full EU access. Seems like a strong package.
It really does. But here's the final thought, something to kind of chew on.
Okay.
While the cost of living is much lower, our sources point out that local purchasing power, so what a locally earned Maltese salary actually buys you, is almost 50% lower than in the U.S.
Ah, okay. So great if you bring U.S. income.
Exactly. It's fantastic if you're earning dollars remotely or have investments paying out in dollars, but if your plan involves eventually switching to a local Maltese job, how does that lower local wage reality potentially change the math on achieving that Mediterranean dream?
That's a really important consideration. Definitely something for you to think about.
You are listening to Passport Talks, a podcast on how to become a true cosmopolitan, how to travel the world without visas, create a safe haven for your family, and access top-notch education and healthcare with a second passport or residency.